What if everything you've been told about being too much is completely wrong? What if all those moments when people said you were too emotional, too intense, or too curious were actually signs of something rare and extraordinary? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might see yourself in a way you never have before. Carl Jung, one of the most important thinkers in psychology, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But what happens when who you truly are doesn't fit the world's idea of normal? What if your strongest traits, the ones that make you feel different, are actually the keys to your deepest purpose? Most people are taught to tone themselves down, to stay small, and to act like everyone else. But you might have felt deep inside that this advice never worked for you. Maybe you've been called too deep or too complicated. Maybe you've wondered if something was wrong with you. But what if those exact traits are proof that you see life in a way most people never will? Keep watching, because we're about to explore signs that your mind and heart might be wired in a rare and powerful way, one that can change how you see your past and shape your future. All your life, you may have heard people tell you that you are too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too intense. These words can feel like heavy labels, and after hearing them many times, you might start believing something is wrong with you. But here is something you may not know. Many people who hear these words over and over are actually showing signs of a rare way of thinking and feeling. Carl Jung studied the mind deeply, and he noticed that some people have what he called differentiated consciousness. That means they see and feel life with far more depth than the average person. Society, however, does not always like that kind of depth. Most people feel safer when everything stays simple and predictable. So when someone comes along with strong feelings, big ideas, or endless questions, it can make others uncomfortable. Think about it. Have you ever been in a room where everyone seemed fine, but you felt that something was off? Have you ever cried over something that didn't seem to bother anyone else? Those are not flaws. Those are signs that your heart and mind are tuned to a deeper level. But here's the important part. This depth can be a gift or a heavy weight, depending on how you see it. And in the next part, you'll learn why Jung believed this gift often stays hidden. Carl Jung spent much of his life trying to understand why some people feel out of place in the world. He discovered something powerful. The very people who feel like outsiders often have a deeper level of awareness than others. Jung called this process individuation, becoming your true self instead of just copying what everyone else is doing. Most people spend their lives following rules without ever questioning them. They do what they think is expected, even if it doesn't make them happy. But some people can't do that. Something inside them refuses to accept shallow answers or empty routines. If this sounds like you are not broken. You are actually closer to what Jung described as living fully awake. But there is a hidden side to this discovery. People who think and feel deeply often believe they are the problem. They see how different they are, and instead of feeling proud, they feel ashamed. Society can make them believe their depth is too heavy or too strange. Jung believed this misunderstanding keeps many gifted minds trapped for years, never realizing their true potential. He also noticed something else. When you start to embrace your depth, life begins to change in ways you never expected. And that change starts with the way you feel emotions. Let's look at that next. Have you ever felt emotions so deeply that you wondered why no one else seemed to notice what you noticed? Maybe you've walked into a room and felt tension, even though everyone was smiling. Maybe someone told you they were fine, but you could feel in your chest that they were hurting inside. That is not imagination. Jung discovered that some people experience emotions with a kind of inner radar, picking up signals that others block out. He called this affect-toned complexes. It means your emotions are not just simple reactions. They are layers of meaning, patterns, and connections moving through you. Most people feel things on the surface. You feel them like waves in the ocean, deep, strong, and full of information. Society often tells people like you to stop being too emotional. They want you to smile more, cry less, and make things easier for everyone else. But Jung believed the opposite. He saw emotional depth as a sign of a highly developed mind. It means you can sense truths that others ignore. It means you can connect with life in ways that go far beyond words. But there's a risk. If you keep pushing those feelings down to please others, you might start losing parts of yourself. And Jung found that when people do that, they don't feel normal. They feel divided inside. Let's explore why questioning everything becomes your next step. Have you ever been the person who keeps asking why when everyone else is ready to move on? Maybe you've been in conversations where people seem happy with shallow answers, but you feel restless until you dig deeper. Carl Jung noticed that some people are wired this way. They cannot accept things just because that's how they've always been. They need to understand what's underneath. Jung believed this trait shows a mind that is alive and awake. He said most people live what he called unconscious lives. They follow rules without ever stopping to ask if those rules make sense. But some people, maybe you, cannot live that way. You keep peeling back layers. You want truth, not just comfort. But here is the part many don't see. When you ask big questions, some people feel uncomfortable. Your curiosity shakes their sense of safety. They might call you negative or difficult. They might even pull away because your honesty feels like a mirror they don't want to look into. Jung called this ability to see through illusions a sign of advanced thinking, but he also warned that it can make you feel alone. When you see the world more clearly than those around you, it can feel like you're walking a path no one else understands. And yet, this path often leads to a strength that changes everything, your fierce independence. Let's look at that next. There comes a time when depending on others for your sense of worth simply stops working. Maybe you've felt this yourself. You may have learned, through painful experiences, that waiting for others to accept you only leaves you feeling empty. Carl Jung noticed that people with rare depth often reach a turning point much earlier than most. Instead of trying to fit in, they begin to build a life from the inside out. Jung called this process individuation. It's when you stop living as a copy of someone else and start living as yourself, even if it means standing alone. That independence isn't just a habit, it's an achievement. It's something you created through struggles that forced you to grow. Many people never get there because they are too afraid of being alone, but you've learned that standing alone is far better than losing yourself. However, there is a challenge hidden in this gift. Your independence can attract people who admire it, but it can also draw in those who want to control it. Some might see your strength as a threat. Others might try to attach themselves to it, hoping to benefit from what you've built. Jung believed that learning to tell the difference between those who truly respect your independence and those who want to use it is one of the most important skills you can develop. And that brings us to another gift you may carry without even knowing: your intuitive awareness. Let's explore that next. Have you ever felt like you knew something without being told? Maybe you sensed someone's sadness even while they smiled, or you noticed a small change in someone's tone that revealed more than their words ever could. Carl Jung believed this kind of awareness is not magic. It is a natural part of certain rare personalities. He called it intuition, and he described it as the ability to pick up signals that most people never notice. Your mind gathers details quietly and quickly. A look in someone's eyes, a hesitation in their voice, a shift in the energy of a room. These things speak to you. While others take things at face value, you read the layers underneath. This is a powerful gift, but it also comes with a cost. If you are always open to what others feel, you might start carrying their emotions as if they were your own. Jung warned that people with strong intuition can easily become overwhelmed. They feel so much from others that they forget to check in with themselves. They may act like helpers, constantly giving their energy to those who need it, without noticing how drained they become. The key, Jung explained, is learning boundaries, knowing when to open your gift and when to protect it. When you understand this, your awareness becomes a strength instead of a weight. And this deep awareness often leads to another powerful drive, the need for meaning over approval. Let's dive into that next. Have you ever tried to follow the usual path, doing what others expected, only to feel hollow inside? Maybe you chased achievements or relationships that looked good on the outside, but felt empty once you had them. Carl Jung noticed this pattern in people with rare depth. He said that for some personalities, living without meaning is not just uncomfortable, it's impossible. Most people are willing to trade their inner truth for acceptance. They go along with groups, keep quiet about what they really think, and settle for a life that feels safe but shallow. But if you are wired differently, you can't do that for long. Even when everyone else seems satisfied, you feel a pull inside you, a need to live with honesty and purpose. This can create conflict. People around you might not understand why you reject things they consider normal. They might see you as difficult or ungrateful. But Jung believed this refusal to settle is a sign of courage. It shows that your mind and heart are tuned to something deeper. However, he also warned that meaning seekers carry a special kind of responsibility. When you live from your true self, you show others that a different way is possible. You light a path that others may follow, and that journey often leads to an even harder step, letting go of people and places that no longer match your growth. Let's explore that next. One of the hardest parts of growing into your true self is realizing that some people and places no longer fit. Maybe you've felt it. Friends who once understood you now seem distant. Old habits that used to feel safe now feel empty. Carl Jung called this process a kind of death and rebirth. It's not about your body, it's about leaving behind a version of yourself that no longer feels real. This change can feel lonely. You might wonder why the people who once loved you don't seem to understand you anymore. But Jung believed this is not failure, it is progress. When you step into your deeper self, you can't always bring the old world with you. Some people will try to pull you back into the person you used to be, because that version felt easier for them. But you've already moved forward. It can feel like a dark night of the soul, a time when you question everything and feel separate from everyone. Yet, Jung said that those who stay true to themselves through this stage find something incredible on the other side. Connections that are deeper, relationships that are real, and a sense of peace that cannot be shaken. This path is not easy, but it leads to something far greater. Discovering your larger purpose and stepping into the person you were always meant to become. Now you know that being too much might actually mean you are something rare. Your deep feelings, your endless questions, your independence, and your need for meaning are not flaws. They are signs of a mind and heart that see the world in ways most people cannot. Jung believed people like you are the ones who push humanity forward, showing others what authenticity and courage look like. Yes, it can feel lonely at times. Yes, it can feel like no one understands you. But every step you take toward your true self is a step that lights the way for someone else. You are not too much. The world is simply too small for the depth you carry. Take a moment and ask yourself, which part of this spoke to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you know someone who feels the same way, send this to them. Remind them that their sensitivity, their intensity, their depth are not weaknesses. They are gifts. Thank you for watching. And remember, you are not too much. You might just be exactly what the world has been waiting for.